The All Progressives Congress APC brags about its national convention as over 8,000 delegates are gearing up for the crucial meeting in the FCT Abuja. Former Senate President and former Kwara State Governor, Senator Bukola Saraki, will be speaking with us tonight on the program on the state of affairs of the PDP and the road to 2027 elections. Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I am Shonwa Kimale, right here in Abuja. Let's tell you what has become a worrying situation within the People's Democratic Party, which of course is the warrant of arrest on the fractional national chairman, and is going to get to that point, and I will give you details of that story. But it looks to me that all is set for the All Progressives Congress APC National Convention, slated for tomorrow, which is the 27th and the 28th of March 2027. Earlier today, the party's media committee, led by the Minister of Information, Mr. Mohammed Idris, addressed a World Press Conference about the readiness, and it says over 8,000 members of the party and delegates will be attending, including the leader of the party and the president, Bola Tinubu. Take a listen to the Minister of Information, Mohammed Idris, addressing the press conference earlier today.
Number of delegates expected at the convention. We're expecting a total number of 8,453 delegates. 8,453 delegates. These are the number of delegates we're expecting to come from across all the 36 states of the Federation to Abuja.
All right, then, so much to talk about tonight, but our focus is the conversation with a former Senate President and a former Kwara State Governor. But before we get started with that, let's have you with some of your political roundup stories.
Vice President Kashim Shettima has reaffirmed Nigeria's commitment to promoting and protecting human rights while ensuring the effective implementation of international humanitarian law treaties. He said this at the 2026 High-Level International Humanitarian Law Dialogue in Abuja. The Vice President notes that the federal government's approach is anchored on three non-negotiable pillars, which include the protection of civilian population, the humane treatment of all persons affected by conflict, and the preservation of human dignity, even in the most difficult circumstances. And the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi has rejected former Vice President Atiku Abubakar's claim that dispute over the OPL 245 oil block remain unsolved. Fagbemi described Atiku's stance as a misrepresentation, urging Nigerians to disregard it. The former Vice President had dismissed the federal government's assertion that the matter was settled, citing a pre-action notice from Malabu Oil as evidence that disputes persist. He also raised concerns over due process, noting that related cases are still pending before the Supreme Court and the Federal High Court. Mr. Fagbemi countered that Atiku's position undermines what he called a landmark resolution of a dispute spanning nearly 3 decades. He traced OPL 245's history, awarded to Malabu Oil and Gas Limited in 1998, revoked in 2001, then reallocated to Shell Nigeria Ultra Deep Limited in 2002, which sparked prolonged litigation and public hearings. The ongoing bill at the National Assembly to repeal the Medical and Dental Practitioners Act is facing serious opposition from members of the Joint Health Sector Unions and the Assembly of Healthcare Professionals who staged a protest in Abuja. The protesting health workers are against the bill, claiming that if allowed to pass, it will subject other medical professionals to the control of medical doctors. And the coalition of civil society organizations led by the concerned professionals of Nigeria have said that former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai cannot get justice due to what they call the blatant abuse of power and cold process by the anti-graft and security agencies in what it called the ongoing persecution of the former Kaduna State Governor. Speaking at a press conference in Abuja, the convener, Mr. Uche Diala, called on the nation's elder statesmen to prevail on the administration of President Bola Tinubu to adhere to the rule of law and the tenets of democracy and release the ADC chieftain instead of using him to play the politics of opposition and intimidation ahead of the 2027 polls.
Thanks so much, everyone. And there you have it. You've been served with your political roundup stories. Let me tell you about the story of the factional national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, whom the court today by Justice Kekemeke has issued a warrant of arrest after Mr. Saraki failed to attend court for his arraignment following a charge by the Inspector General of Police for allegedly giving false information to the Nigerian police force. Nigeria's main opposition is facing a defining moment. A party once dominant, now battling internal fractures, power struggles, and a fight for survival. From the deepening crisis within the People's Democratic Party to the widening rift between key power blocks, questions mount over unity, leadership, and the road to 2027. As the nation grapples with economic pressure and governance concerned under President Bola Tinubu, can the opposition reposition, or is it losing ground? Tonight, one of the party's most influential voices speaks to us on the program. Former Senate President Bukola Saraki and a former Kwara State Governor is speaking tonight on crisis, reconciliation, and the state of the PDP and the battle ahead in 2027. Dr. Bukola Saraki, many thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
Quite a while seeing you.
It's been a while indeed.
By the way, a lot of people don't know that you're a medical doctor. That part of you is silent because they thought Dr. Bukola Saraki is maybe the usual title you give to politicians.
No,
just to.
It's hard-earned doctor.
Do you still know where to turn the stethoscope?
I still do. Though my political friends make fun of me that they're not sure they will come to me for. But anytime they do have one thing, they will make the phone call.
It's better to get your political advice than to get your medical advice.
I'm not sure. You can get both.
And of course, well, I wouldn't say fortunately or unfortunately, you're an Arsenal fan. And you've been one.
Yes.
You've been one for a long time.
Yes.
Any Arsenal fan, including the likes of Aliko Dangote,
yes.
Those of you have resilience and a lot of patience. Losing for a long time and not knowing any silverware is a lot of patience.
You know, for a club that you claim we lose, I don't know why people are so much against us winning. So I had to even tell my friend, I said, look, we haven't won this thing. Okay, just be on our side. You know, I think God willing we'll do it this year.
I hope. It was disappointing how Pep dealt with you guys on the weekend.
No,
that's disappointing.
No. It was not a good outing. It was not a good outing.
But I mean, there's another part of London which you need to go learn some lesson.
Where's that?
Very close to Fulham.
Where's that?
You know, London is always...
I want you to say the club. Is that your club?
The Stamford Bridge.
Is that your club?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
We've got all the silverwares that you can ever think of in the world.
Well, you know, for 50
in Europe.
You know, for 50 years too, you didn't win any tournament.
Yes, but when in the modern football,
so we haven't got to 50 years yet. so you know, I know you talk about how long we've taken those to win, but we haven't got to 50 years yet. You took 50 years before you finally won.
It took a long time, but
exactly.
Then we turned the corner and we are winners now. We're the world champions. But let's get to politics.
Yeah.
There are those who say you should apologize to the nation and to the People's Democratic Party. You led reconciliation, yet the party is in a lot of crisis. Do you take a blame in some way? Are you able to apologize to Nigerians that in some way Bukola Saraki failed the PDP and failed the nation? The opposition is collapsing.
Not at all. In a way, I think, I mean, with greatest humility, I would say that what we saw now would have happened long time ago. We kept it together for months after the Committee of Reconciliation in trying to keep all the forces together. And it was unfortunate that it finally went to the, broke apart just before the so-called Ibadan Convention. But before then, we've had this issue. And through our reconciliation committee, we've been keeping it together. We had challenges. Remember, first people thought we would never be able to have a NEC meeting. We will never be able to sit together and hold neck meetings. We'll never be able to bring the governors together. And all throughout that period, my committee, led myself and some of those that work with me, we kept it right up to the last point of which it was before the convention. If you know, this crisis was not just the convention. Leading to that, over the weeks and months, there have been a lot of work that we did. And we were the last party, I mean, a lot of the opposition party, that stayed together without actually being divided into maybe a faction or not faction. We avoided it. All the booby traps were along the way. We just kept meeting, reconciling people, bringing ourselves together. There are many evenings that, you know, I mediated the different groups, governors, former governors, to try and put everybody together, try and build confidence. And we did our best up to, you know, and even the last one, if my advice had been heeded to, and I screamed, I shouted at that time and said, look, don't let us go and do this convention. The best thing for us at this point in time was let us have a caretaker committee. So
you advised against the Ibadan convention?
I made a statement. There was a special committee set up, led by one of my elder statesmen, Ambassador Hassan Tuku. They came, they saw me, and with Michael Gadume as part of it, Senator Kuri as part of it, and I told them my advice is that we should not go to that convention. We should have a caretaker committee, because it was clear that that was the best solution for us, and that if we did that, we would have avoided this issue of different factions. And then after the election, we can, when the atmosphere is calmer, we now can go. Unfortunately, they did not heed that advice, and that's honestly, it's. I mean, what
was your reason for telling them not to go to Ibadan?
Because I could see that we are not fully reconciled in going to Ibadan. The purpose of going to Ibadan or any convention was for everybody on board to have agreed on what we're going to do when we get to Ibadan, and met all the criteria that were being demanded for. There's the issue about congresses in some states that had not been done, that we need to do that. There was also on how should we zone, who should take the position. So when you go to those conventions, it should be affirmation. You know, you should have resolved behind the scenes who and what.
But isn't it the failure of your own committee that should have reconciled? You have the date ahead of time. They depended on you. They trusted you to have reconciled the warring parties in the party before going to Ibadan, but you couldn't achieve that.
No. We said don't go to Ibadan. Don't go to that convention. There was no point going to that convention. Instead of going to that, let us form a caretaker committee. If we had done that, we would not have this crisis.
But is it not taking side by saying don't go to Ibadan? No. Because there is a side that doesn't agree with Ibadan. So when you say don't go to Ibadan...
No, don't go to Ibadan was for the interest of the party. You see, it's very... Politicians, some people tend to try and simplify things on whether it's Mr. Y or Mr. If you advise to sometimes say no because you are maybe supporting what... No, that was what was in the best interest of the party, to avoid what now came out after Ibadan. Before then, we were not in court. Well, there were no this kind of court cases against different parts of the party until after Ibadan.
Governor Bauchi, Governor Sheyi Makinde of Oyo, they spearheaded the Ibadan Convention. Although we saw Governor Fintiri of Adamawa, who announced and said, because of the situation, he's reneging on some of the things that he saw. But I mean, were you able to speak with these two governors who were spearheading that convention and made them see reasons why Ibadan was a no-no for you?
We did our best to advise that Ibadan should not take place. It was not in the best interest of the party.
But at this stakeholder, were they carried along?
Everybody,
I mean, as a former governor,
yes,
and number 3 citizen, you must have seen reason, and you know the reason why you don't want them to go to Ibadan. But if you prevail on these two governors, especially Governor Makinde and Governor Mohammed of Bauchi,
I think they were convinced for whatever reason that was the best solution at that point in time. It wasn't, and I'm not the only one that had that position. Even the committee that was set up by the Board of Trustees also, in their recommendation, suggested that they should not do that. But their report was not considered because the report was not in line with those who had committed that they had to go to Ibadan. I mean, that is... But you know, I don't think... where we are today, where we're still trying to make sure we bring people together, I don't think that I want to bask in who got it right, who did not get it right. Clearly mistakes were made. But where we are now is, how do we ensure that PDP is available as a platform for those lovers of PDP, those members of PDP that want to contest election. And to do that, we still have to continue the reconciliation processes. And that is why, as you said to me, it's been a while. I try as much as possible when you are trying to arbitrate not to put on blame, because you still need to bring people together. Even people who have made mistakes. There's no point in where mistakes have been made for us to harbor on it as much, because that does not help peace, doesn't help unity. So the point I'm making is that there's no doubt about it that, yes, if they had listened, we would not be where we are today. But that has happened now, and we should not label. What we should label is what is ahead of us.
Senator Saraki, is it also very true of your position when you say don't go to Ibadan? On the other hand, you send delegates from Kwara to Ibadan.
Yes.
So if you say don't go to Ibadan,
yes.
On the other hand, you send delegates to Ibadan.
No, let me explain.
Were you trying to play a balancing game, or what exactly?
We said don't go to Ibadan. They now told us, we said INEC is not going to be there. It's going to be an exercise in futility. You're going to have a convention that will come out of there that will not have the legitimacy to carry on further. Then they reassured us that no, INEC will be there. So to show good faith, just to again show I'm not on this side or that side, I'm on the side of what is good for the party. One side had already clearly explained to us that Ibadan was not an option, which was the reality. It's okay, we'll give you the benefit of the doubt. If you claim and you gave our assurances that INEC will be there to conduct the primaries, and I told those of our delegates from Kwara, you know, let's show good faith, right? Go to Ibadan. If INEC is there to conduct that convention and that'll come out of that, go ahead and vote. If INEC is not going to be there and you don't see INEC there, so to me that action was an action that truly shows that it was not any vested interest of, it was interest of what is right in doing the right thing. And in the moment, of course, INEC were not there, but still that was the opportunity again for us to have pulled back and say, look, INEC not being here, this is an exercise in futility. Let us go back, not do an elective convention, but they went ahead and do that. But that has happened. It has happened now, and we're now where we are, and we now have another opportunity. Because the key thing to all of us in PDP is let us create a platform that people who want to contest the election on PDP have the opportunity.
So you're a member of the PDP?
I am a member of the PDP.
There are a lot of people who think that maybe you are going to the ADC.
No.
Because you've been quiet, and there are no doubts about your loyalty to the party and your sincerity on where you were standing. No. So people were saying, oh, Saraki, or he's going back to the APC, or those are the thoughts.
No, listen, I think my antecedents and my political career show that I'm not a follower. And I lead, and I'm very clear where I stand. I'm not somebody that will say something in the afternoon and say something else in the evening. What I believe in, I stand, and I take whatever comes with that. I've shown it, whether it was in the Senate, when I was a governor. That was my political life. If I'm going somewhere, you know about you, I'll come and I'll tell you this is where I stand. The quietness may be because, unlike normal elective year for the last 8 years, I'll probably have been contested. In 2023, I contested for president in 2019. So maybe because 2027, I agree with the principle, and I was part of the party that said, look, 2027, let us leave it to the zone to the south and let the south, finish this 8-year period. So maybe that lack of activity has given the wrong impression. But clearly, when ADC started, as you see, I was not part of that, and I made it clear that I was not going to be there. And ditto, those who were suggesting that I was going to go and join APC, I also made it clear that I'm going to stay here in PDP. So clearly that's where I am.
So you will be attending the national convention?
I will be attending the national convention, and I think that all lovers of the party should attend the convention for the purpose that this is the avenue.
Are there still members in your party? Because someone like Senator Saraki said the party is dead and gone, it's buried.
When you stay here in Abuja, you might say that because of the noise that comes out from the leaders having their disagreement. But when you go out to the states and you go into the grassroots in different states, you find out that PDP is still very, very strong. I take my state, for example, because I'm not contesting an election. I said to all the aspirants that are contesting, stakeholders, go and have a meeting and come back and tell me which platform do you want it? You have an option of staying in the PDP as it is. If you don't want ADC or PDP, you can even consider any of the smaller parties. But the first choice that comes to guests, and they tell you from feedback from the grassroots, is that people still have this love and this affiliation for PDP. So, yes, there is a lot of noise.
Is that in Kwara?
I'm giving my state an example.
Okay, because I know the Oloye tendency in Kwara is still very strong.
I'm giving my state
the Buki tendency is still very strong.
I'm giving my state. So I'm saying that even across the country, PDP is still a household name.
Is it sellable?
It is sellable.
In Kwara?
Very sellable. Not only in Kwara, it is sellable across the country.
Because there are those who will say in Kwara, the bruise of Otoge is still very evident. And that's probably going to be more evident in 2027.
Well, you know very well that is not the case. Where you ask the people in Kwara that all the promises that was made under the so-called Otoge was more of propaganda vis-a-vis what has been achieved. Even within their own party, they will tell you that what we promised Kwarans, and Kwarans will tell you that what we promised Kwarans, what all the allegations we said against myself and those in the party, and what it is today is totally, you cannot compare the two. You can't compare where the state is today and when we were there in office. I mean, I don't even need to go far. Let's even just take the simple one of security. Somebody was telling me the other day, I was inquiring, I said, okay, they said before you didn't do this, we didn't have this, but at least we're safe. People were not dying. Now in Kwara, just over the last 2 years, about 400 people. I'll quote an international institution that said that Kwara State was one of the safest states in Kwara in the years. All of a sudden, it has become an emerging area for terrorism and attacks. And this was not the Kwara that we know.
Could have been blamed on the government of Kwara State.
The question is, at the end of the responsibility of lives and properties is on government. I was a governor for 8 years. My successor governor for 8 years. If you go and look at the data of people, how many people that were killed in that period, it was less than in the numbers of tens and 50. I'm talking about 200-300. Now, the question you say that, who are you going to put the blame on? But if you now compare even neighboring states, look at the data of neighboring states, places like Kogi or Oyo, they're nowhere near.
So your own view and your own opinion.
So what I'm saying,
Otoge has failed.
Of course, it has failed.
So it's Otuya now. or what's the tendency?
Look, people have compared that. Look, it's normal. 40 years. If you look at the time of Ole, my dad, from the 70s to my time, that's about over 40 years. It's normal in any environment. People want change. For some, who just say, look, we've tried. And now I think that was the propaganda. But they've now got this. And a lot of people ask and say, no, this is not what we bargained. This is not better times. These are worse times. And that is what I believe is where we are in Kwara State today. And look, I'm 16 years out of office here in Kwara State today. They have not, if they were doing so well, they have not been able to drive one out of the place, the presence and relevance and the followership and
so when Buki gets, because that's what you were popularly calling Ilorin and Kwara State, when Buki steps into Ilorin today, it's going to be fanfare.
It's always fanfare.
Because Ileloke, which was the popular grounds where your father, the late Saraki had his supporters, people will literally trek from far and wide, from Itakure, from anywhere you can mention in Ilorin. They will literally trek for the 4-yard and the 6-yard and their pop-off and their amala, and they will sit there. And so Ileloke is still very viable. People still go there. It was like a mecca of some sort.
We still go there. Though the current government early advised and decided that to demolish the place, thinking that would stop people from going there. But once residents, where I stay now, it's still the same place. It's still, where is not the location, it's the love and
so the bond. So Ileloke has moved from behind that medical center?
Yes, because
where has it moved to now?
It has moved back into the part in the GRA where I stay, close to where I stay now. That's where people still troop out when we come. But they thought that by demolishing the place with a big bulldozer and saying that thinking that would discourage people. It doesn't. People still troop out, as you say. The women will troop out. They will stay there into early mornings of them because in and out of government, we're there for them. I've not stopped once in being with the people in the state. So people appreciate that.
Let me ask you, what faction of the PDP do you belong? Are you of...
there's no faction.
Are you of the Wike faction or you are the Makinde?
No, I don't. There's nothing about the faction. We're on the right path of what is best for the PDP. Having a platform that would be enabling people that want to contest on PDP platform to be able to contest. That's the #1 priority, so that Nigerians truly have options. Now, a few people that did leave PDP at the time, or who have left, were because there was this concern that, what are you doing in PDP? You're wasting your time because PDP is not going to be on the ballot paper. And I think that whether it's Governor Makinde, whether it's FCT Minister, everybody main priority, and I can speak for both of them, is PDP must be on that ballot paper, so that people have the opportunity to run on PDP platform. And that's
sincere from your heart.
That is very sincere.
Because there are those who say that you're not telling Nigerians the truth tonight.
No,
that you are a wicked man. You do wicked bidding at night and you front PDP during the day.
No, that's not true.
Are you not a wicked man?
No, I will not disown. I have a friendship, but that does not wrong you from doing the right thing. Even the wicked you're talking about, we all stand on the position that PDP must provide a platform for people to contest election. That does not take. That is where we are. That is where most of us, we have options. Everybody has options. If truly we don't love PDP, we can go to another party to contest. That is just propaganda. Even in my state, people tell people that want to contest us, what are you doing there? You're wasting your time. You don't have ticket. So a lot of people, because of that, who want to contest. And that is why some of us are excited that if we can push through with this reconciliation, get our convention done this weekend, Sunday, Monday, have it attended by INEC, have the legitimacy of that convention, by which people are now confident, if this party now conducts primaries for us later in the year, I am good to run. That is the message we want to.
Is that not hypocrisy? Because this is the same group of people that are endorsing another presidential candidate of the ruling party.
The group?
You've not heard that there are people who are saying they are working for Bola Tinubu. Are you endorsing Bola Tinubu too?
You know, I've said my opening line. I'm not somebody that says things I'm not going to do. Have you heard me? As the president has been in power now for many years, nobody can tell you I've sat down like this and make people. I don't.
But I say you go there at night.
No, so I don't do things at night. I'm not a night person. If I'm going to do something, I come out, stick my chest, I just where I'm going. I'm not.
You're not working behind
no.
for Bola Tinubu and the APC.
No.
You say your friendship with Wike is a certain endorsement.
You can't extrapolate that. My friendship is based on what are we going to do about this party. And I found his style, his views might be different, but that PDP must not die. PDP must be able to provide a platform for people to contest election. That I have not in any way doubt that sincerity of where you stand. That's where I stand. Now, how we do that within the party is what we must achieve. But the fact that we cannot afford, my strong view is that down in all the states, people want to contest on PDP platform. Their concern is that, is there an exercise in futility in the sense that we go through this process and at the end of the day they will say, oh, no, you don't have a properly elected NWC, INEC was not at your convention, INEC was not at your primary, so you're wasting your time. If we can achieve that, or provide that platform over this Monday, Tuesday, we go to convention Abuja, INEC is there, INEC endorses that working committee, that working committee controls primaries, I want to contest any position, House of Reps, Senate, President, whatever it is, you go there and you can do that, then I believe that PDP would be able to.
So you think after Monday, the PDP will be out of the woods?
By the action of all of us, based on the sincerity of, let us put away, which I'm hearing from all sides, let's put away issue of litigation, let's accommodate ourselves.
Ask them that they should drop the appeal on the appeal court,
and then let us all accommodate ourselves.
Have they all agreed to that?
It's an exercise that, you know how this is. It's not things that can be said yes, no. Part of that process is the convention. Coming out of that process is say how much level of accommodation, and then we now lead going on.
Because there are those who talk about the terms of settlement, terms of reconciliation. Oh, you give me this, you give me. But it seems that and look, hate him, like him, Wike is a master political strategist.
Yes.
And it's perhaps something that he's done for so many years. There are just a few of them who have done this all their lives. The same with the President, Bola Tinubu. Give it to them. You may not like them, but look, if you are engaging them in a political war, you must be ready to fight that war. And it does look like this other side have played into Wike's hands, and he's got all the cards on the table for himself. And you think that they're going to not be disagreeable in this sense, because at the end of the day, Wike's got all the cards.
Okay, let me. Probably so, coming out of the outcome of the last election, the court case. But I know also, in talking to him, right, there's the spirit of also accommodating. Right? There are meetings that we're holding, the meetings were held up to yesterday night, the meetings that are being held, and they say that, okay, yes, this side have won. They've gone to a battle, they have won, but at the end of the day, we all of us are agreeable on the position that this party must provide a platform for people to contest election. And as such, there will be accommodations that will be made in order to make that happen. That is key. You see, that aspect is what is so important for us. The moment we do that and we create that platform, there are people who left. I mean, we've seen somebody already who left in one of the states who has now come back based on what he's seen. He left the party, a former gubernatorial aspirant in one of the North Central states, left our party, he's now coming back. There are people in the National Assembly that too left because they said, better leave because PDP is not going to have a platform for you to contest. Now they're seeing the likelihood that we're doing a convention in the next 2 days, likelihood that INEC could probably be present there, likelihood that it would be endorsed, likelihood also that some of the other people who before were said they were fighting and say, look, despite whatever our fights are, we're on the same page on one thing. PDP must be on the ballot paper in 2027.
But I mean, of course, there are those who think that your like were the ones who also decimated the PDP at some point. One of those 5 governors who also abandoned the PDP and left, and those who are accusing the minister of the FCT that is a major force behind how PDP is today. And you say you are his friend, and there are those who will say tacitly, you are one of those that destroyed the party. You take blame for that.
I spend all my time reconciling people and bringing people together. How can I take blame?
But you once worked against the party, you left the party.
That's at that time. We're talking about now. The issues now are different from that time. We're talking about in 2011 and then 2015. We're talking about now. All I've done now is contribute in keeping this party together. I know the effort that I've done in ensuring, in keeping it together up to this point. This matter will have grown much earlier on. Unfortunately, errors were made in going to Ibadan to do that convention. Major errors. Now, having done that, we've now seen, the court have now said we should never have done that. Now, where do we go from there? And that's what we're saying now. Let's have another opportunity. What should be in the mind of all of us is that there are people that want to contest from PDP. There are people that want to vote for PDP. We must not deprive them and ensure that we play into the hands that...
Dr. Saraki, give me a moment. Up next on the program, will Senator Saraki be running for president in 2027? He's tried it a few times. What is his ambition as we go into the next election cycle? He's going to be telling us that he's going to be on the ballot. He's fighting for the soul of the PDP. But is it for his own ambition and his personal ambition? We'll be finding out after this break, everyone. Join us again. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Senator Bukola Saraki is our guest tonight on the program. Thanks so much indeed for your time on the program tonight.
Thank you.
Is Saraki for president in 2027?
No, I'm not running for president in 2027.
You've always, your younger self had always wanted to be president of Nigeria.
I do. I will not lie if I say I don't. But after 2023 election, and those of us who remember felt that both candidates could come from any part of the country. If you remember, in 2023, haven't Nigerians chosen to elect President Bola Tinubu from the south? I think we felt that, look, it's only fair, let's allow the south, my view, to complete the 8 years. So when the party met last year to discuss where should the party do about zoning of presidential, one of those that supported it, that the party should zone presidency to the south in 2027. And to in line with that and to abide to that party decision. Because remember, in 2023, the final decision of the party was that the candidates could come from anywhere. But in 2020, this meeting we held said it should come from the south. And I abide by that. And as such, ruled out the issue of me wanting to contest in 2027.
And so you still think that the presidency in 2027 should go to the South?
I believe so. I think so.
But I mean, if you had that view, why did you work for Atiku in 2023?
Because in 2023, can't you remember I said that the party, the final recommendation of the party allowed it for people
to throw it open.
Throw it open. Yeah.
Was that fair?
If you see,
coming from a Buhari of 8 years.
No. You see, don't look at it just from Buhari. If you take it even beyond that, I mean, if you do the mathematics of it, at the end of the day, honestly, it's not cast in stone. Because if you do the mathematics right from Obasanjo, Yaradua, truly through the numbers, there are less numbers that the North have been in power than the South. No doubt about that. Let's not try and play. That's so when those that say that is a personal opinion of theirs if they now choose to run. The numbers support them in running. If you look at how many more years you've had the Southern president, how many years you have the Northern president. But at the end of the day, so having come out of 2023, right, and you've elected a president for 4 years, and the party also coming out of that says, look, let's zone it to the South. So I just took the position that, look, I will work with that, and I'm not going to run in 2027.
Senator Yocha Ayu was the chairman of the party until Damagum, took over when the crisis got to a head, and there are those who say naturally the chairmanship of the PDP should still stay in the North Central, and there are those who are mentioning your name. Well, become the leader and the national chairman of the party.
Well, if you remember, just as you say, after you left, the view and the position of a lot of us was that the chairmanship should stay in the central. And when the deputy chairman not took over Damagu, the understanding was just for a short while, and as you saw, a short while became more than a short while. And in order not to create crisis there, I remember we had a meeting in Senator David Mark's house, all of us from North Central. It was a very heated meeting, because some were of the opinion that we should even go to court and demand that Damagu should declare non-void, and we should insist on North Central. But knowing that, again, that will create crisis, some of us said, look, let's tally a bit. Let us get a commitment that, look, at the next convention, since Ayu's tenure was never completed by North Central, that we should be allowed to finish that tenure of Ayu. And this was the agreement, gentleman's agreement that we had. So that was why, if you follow up, when this convention was coming up, a lot of us insisted that, look, let's keep to gentleman's agreement that the chairman should stay in North Central.
Is that still the agreement?
That's the agreement. That's the agreement.
So on Sunday and Monday, the chairman will come
from North Central.
Who are those in the run for it?
I don't have the details of the names of those. I'm not in the run.
So definitely you are not in the run
I'm
for
not
it.
in the run for it. But I want to clear. Sometimes when we do these things, I always remember, I don't do those things for personal interest. It's what is fair, what is right, what's the interest of the party. So for this time round, right, because I kicked against when, in preparation of our Ibadan conference, when they now decided to move the chairman to the west, northwest. I said, you're not being fair to us. This was a gentleman's agreement to stay in North. So now, under this new, this convention coming up, it has been zoned to the North Central. So I think a few people in North Central have shown interest at who want to.
In the politics of Nigeria, North Central is a minority, and there are a lot of things that is shortchanged. You are Bukola, a Yoruba name from North Central as a northerner. And those of us who have that kind of one leg as a Yoruba man, one leg in the north, have always had a short end of the stick. And North Central has played that politics. It's always a swing region for any election in the second, third, fourth republic. That's what's always happened. Similar thing in Kwara State. And that those who believe that they've been marginalized. And those marginalized group. And one day I'm looking forward to a North Central man becoming president of Nigeria. And the same way a southerner, a Yoruba-speaking man from Kwara State, becoming the governor of Kwara State. And that those who say, where do you stand in Kwara State 2027? Where do you think the governorship seat should go?
From our own party, we've taken a decision that let the best person come out So we've made it open. We have not zoned.
You've thrown it open.
We've thrown it open.
And it could come from a lorry.
It could come from anywhere.
Party
It could come from anywhere. Let the best candidate.
But is that fair?
I think it is fair in the sense that as an opposition party, not a ruling party. When you're a ruling party, there are certain things that you can consider more. When you're an opposition party, honestly, it would be very unfair for you not to allow your best hand to come out. And I think those luxuries you have of being fair, you can do when you're in a ruling party. As an opposition party, truly, you must create opportunity for
because in Kwara, if you hear what they say today, they say, give us a southern governor of a Christian extraction. Do you think it's due for a Christian to becoming a Kwara State governor?
A Christian has become a Kwara State governor.
I'm talking about the Fourth Republic.
Look, listen, I think just as it's happening at the national, at the state, not maybe as fast as we want it to, most of the younger people who go to vote now are looking beyond what you and me are talking about. They're looking for capacity. They're looking for ability. I think if somebody is capable, has acceptability, popularity, whether it's Christians from the south, it's from Ilorin, it's from the central, it's Muslim, I think at the end of the day, it's getting to a time in this country, it will not matter. When that time comes, when it is, but we're getting to that point more and more, that those are not the issues that will decide who people will vote for.
So is the PDP posturing to have a presidential candidate in 2027?
Of course.
Does he have the capacity to do so?
Well, let us resolve the problems of being, as I said, the key issue now for us, honestly, because we've lost time. We've allowed your programs like yourself to be discussing about our issue of whether we are going to be on the ballot paper. That does not give confidence to people that want to contest election on your platform. The sooner we can resolve this issue, the sooner that anybody who wants to aspire to be House of Assembly member, who wants to become president, wants to become senator, who become governor, believes that I can do it on the PDP platform, the sooner for us that we'll be able to address those issues. So that is why a lot of this urgency for us. Let's clear out all these issues and now make the party viable for those that seriously want it. But we have lost time. There's no doubt about that.
And I'm glad that you're a medical doctor. How can a patient in ICU want to run for Olympics? And that's the situation with the PDP.
No, we're not.
Your party is in critical condition.
No, it depends on what kind of... sometimes you go into ICU and what you are going for might be just like an acute infection, that it takes you just like 24 hours treatment and you're out of ICU. Now, there are some that go into ICU with chronic illnesses. Ours is not chronic because our major organs, which is this, still using medical terminology, which are our states, are functioning properly. Our wards are functioning, our local government are functioning, the acceptability of the party is functioning. Yes, we have problems, but those are problems that can be addressed. And that is why what we're doing. So the point I'm keeping on showing you that yes, but it is not that we are dead or we're in ICU and we're as we say in the medical term, we're not for resuscitation. That's not the case of PDP. All the issues that we have can easily be treated, and that's what we're doing. Let's come out of this convention. Have a convention. Have an elected National Working Committee. INEC stamps it and say, yes, this NWC is authentic, is valid. NWC now stands up and said, now I'm conducting primaries. Now someone like you, you want to contest for election. You say, no. People before tell you, don't go to PDP, you will not be, they're not going to be on the ballot paper. Now you know they're going to be on the ballot. Then your confidence comes back to contest. Now, once you're on that platform, I'm telling you that when you now go to the people, because what has been making the people worry before was this propaganda that, there's a plan that PDP is not going to be on the ballot paper because there's a scheme. PDP, we're all fighting for it to be on the ballot. Once it gets on the ballot, then it's now the popularity and the acceptability. And I believe that acceptability of the party, it is this crisis that has pushed us back. Once I accept it will increase our fortunes going ahead into the election.
And I'm worried that you look like, and I use, because you're an Arsenal fan, so I use the scenario of Arsenal. You look like a party without a manager that can lead you well into above the mid-table of the Premier League. And you look like your major players are now having different kind of injuries. And whether or not you can compete in the Champions League. You have gone trophyless since 2015 that the APC had beaten your party. You've gone bloody nose 2015, 2019, 2023, and we're ending into 2027. Does the party really have the kind of posture, the kind of candidate like Goodluck Jonathan that people will be looking for to? The likes of Peter Obi had left your party, Atiku Abubakars of the world, the Tambuwas of this world. You've had generals, field generals, political field generals that were in the PDP before now that could win elections for you, that could go into the front line, battle Bola Tinubu, that you know is a very formidable political actor in Nigeria. Do you have what it takes to be able to go into that election? And considering the fact that a lot of people think that with Mr. Wike leading the party and he's working for the president, the party is simply looking like a joke.
No, but you will see a comment at the end of the results of the next election. The PDP is too far by history in the minds of people for what's a swipe for a party to be led to go away. It's not possible. I see your concerns, but at the end of the day, right? And I'll be the first to admit that this crisis, at the time it came, of course, you know, there were more people who were already edging to come and contest on PDP platform that got scared and got worried and they left, right? Secondly, if you want to, as you keep on comparing with football, as I said, if you as a Chelsea supporter, it took you 50 years before you could even win.
In modern football, we won everything.
Yeah, it took you 50 years.
But you've been trophyless.
But that's not 50 years. So even if we have lost election before as PDP, we are coming back. PDP, you can't, sometimes we
back to back for 3 election cycles.
Well, we are coming back. And I believe that at the end of the day, all these little parties, at the end of the day, you see that they will not sustain the time, most of these parties. They will not be there. Right? These issues that we've talked about, I agree, but let us first get across this weekend. Let us have a platform that people can contest on. Then see what is going to happen in the other parties.
Give me a moment. I'd like to know, did Buhari and Bola Tinubu betray you from the deal you had in 2014? Because I know you are one of those in the front line, and you sat in that living room and planned APC. Did they betray you? Give me a moment. You answer that question after this break, everyone. I'm seeing a lot of your comments on social media. Once we told you that Senator Bukola Saraki was coming on the program, there are quite a lot of them, which I'm taking note. Those who are asking with the recent court rulings on the convention, how do you plan to unite the feuding leaders without bruising more egos? How do you intend to connect with Gen Z millennial voters to see who see you as a part of the old guard? You mentioned what defections are yet to come. Is the PDP actually terminal or just rebuilding? Looking back at your time as SP, what one thing would you do differently to handle the executive legislative budget standoffs? Are you officially coming back for a specific role or just playing the role of a party elder or reconciler? A user on X says, at Emeka official, with the current friction in the PDP, how do you plan to unite the party without being seen as a power broker, just looking for a personal ticket? Tolulope Adebayo on Facebook says, the demographic has shifted since you last run. How do you intend to bridge the gap with the Gen Z millennia? Niger Pundit on X says, looking back at the budget standoff during your time as SP, what would you do differently? Chidi Okafo on Facebook said, if you are returning to active politics, what is the specific unfinished business from your time in the Senate that is your top priority? Lara _ the Great on X says, what is the one thing you would do differently if you were given the chance to lead again? So many questions that people are asking. I'll try to put those questions together in my earlier.
Very good
but one that I wanted to answer specifically in 2027. Are you going to be on the ballot?
No, I'm not.
Are you going to the Senate?
I'm not contesting.
You're going to just sit back.
I'm not contesting election.
Your eyes are on Kwara. You want to win Kwara by all means.
It's not by I want to be Kwara by all means. It's been a focus that I've been closer to the people over the last few years. I've not been in government. And I've seen the pain they've gone through. I've seen the mistakes they've made. I've seen the fact that, you know, they haven't got the kind of government they expected, and the hardship they've gone through, the insecurity they've gone through. And as a responsible person, leader, someone who's also humble for what the opportunity the state has given me, that I hold as my responsibility to do our best to see that they have the best type of governance, which I believe that PDP, through our candidates, can provide for
You've criticized the security situation in Kwara State. Do you have an answer to it?
I believe that, based on the period when I was the governor, the situation was not like this. And I believe that
times have changed.
No, I disagree with that. In those times, even the issue of the Boko Haram was even more rampant than now. I don't think the time has changed. I think what has happened, even if even if you go and read about it from most of the security correspondences and newspapers and articles, they will tell you what has really changed in Kwara is that most of those bandits had looked at places of least resistance and less guarded, and found Kwara that place available, and basically that is what has happened. And just because the government just kept the eye off the ball, that is really what has happened.
But quickly, on a scale of performance, not rhetoric, what grade would you give President Bola Tinubu?
Well, that's a difficult question. That's a difficult question because there are many factors and there are many issues. There are things that I would say they're not doing badly on. There are things that they're not doing well at all on. And for example, even if you stay from even just a basic idea of this concept of a one-party state, that is not good for our democracy. I've spoken about that. I've been very strong about that. That we must have a multi-party state. And it's easy for the APC to say, oh, what do you want us to do? People want to come and join our party. No, I don't think.
If Minister Wike goes on to endorse President Tinubu, would you support him in 2027?
Wike and Bukola Saraki, we have things that we have commonly agreed on. How do we save this party? I, as a president, have not taken a position. As I said on the issue of Ahmed Bola Tinubu, I've not taken a position on that. I'm waiting the primaries that are coming. I'm going to see the candidate that will come out on a party. I'll see who is running for president, and at that time in time, decide what I'm going to do.
I just have 20 seconds, I'm being told. But the question, a lot of people wish to know, were you betrayed by Bola Tinubu?
That's not also fair on President Ahmed Bola Tinubu, because those of you, I know, that in those days of former president's administration, he didn't have that say that they claim he had. Where was my own concern was that, as far as my issue with the administration was that I was doing what I felt was the interest of the country as the president of the Senate. And for doing those things, I was now persecuted. But Ahmed Tinubu was not part of those that took the decision and implemented going to code of conduct or of a robbery or a forgery of the National Assembly. That was the executive part of government. So from that point of view, I say. But I wanted to
because we are totally out that we reached the top of the hour. Some of that time, please, you need to come back. There's so much to talk about. Senator Bukola Saraki, former Senate President, former Kwara Governor. Thanks so much indeed for your time. I appreciate it.
Time's gone.
As our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Kimale. God bless Nigeria.